Hey, you guys, I am not here, but this will help you out for your test. We're going to go over the most missed questions, and hopefully you'll do fantastic on Wednesday. So here, we're going to go ahead and get into the first question, and this is what we kind of finished working on last Wednesday. So if you look at it, it says f of x, g of x, and h of x, but the problem only says g minus f. So basically, we don't need h of x. So sorry about that. I am kind of working with a new thing and I cannot get my pen to work. So hopefully it will work here in a second. All right, so we do not need h of x. So h of x, I'm going to cross out and not even know that it's part of the problem. So I'm going to look here and it's going to tell me to plug -2 into g and -2 into f, and then I have to subtract my answers. So let's start by doing -2 into g. And when I do that, I get -2 squared plus 2 times -2 minus 8, which this gives me 4 minus 8. So then that gives me -8 as my answer. So over here underneath g, I'm going to write that I got -8. And then I have to subtract what I get for f. So f of -2 equals 2 times -2 plus 8. And that gives me -4 plus 8, which gives me 4. So that's what I got for f. So for f, I'm going to come and put 4. So what's -8 minus 4? -12. So -12 should be my answer for that problem. So yay! Notice we did not take our answer and use it for the next part. We plugged -2 into both the functions because it gave us an operation of subtract. So we got our answer and we got our answer and we subtracted them. Okay, so let's look at the next problem. And again, remember, you can pause this video as much as you like and work out the problem as you feel you can do it within underneath that same time slot. I'm sounding terrible, but that's okay. All right, so let's look at the next one. This one is the time that we do 2 problems, but we use our first answer to get our second answer. So if we look here, we are using f and g for both, so we don't want to cross any of them out, but we are going to make parentheses around those, and we want g of 4. So we're going to go to g first, and it says x, which is 4 minus 4, and it gives me 0. So then this part of the problem gives me 0. So what's f of 0? I'm going to go to f now and plug in 0. So 0 squared plus 3 times 0, and that still gives me 0. So 0 was my answer. Now, a lot of people think the next problem is the same exact problem.
Andrew Warren for checkout, please.
Sorry, but it's not. So if I go here, I'm going to make my parentheses, but this time it wants me to plug into f first. So I'm going to say 4 squared plus let me do my parentheses, 4 squared plus 3 times 4. And then that's going to give me 16 plus 12, which gives me 28. So that's my first answer, but remember, that's what this becomes. This becomes 28. So now I've got to go g of 28. So I go down to g and it says x, which is 28 minus 4, and it gives me an answer of 24. So 24 is the answer to that one. All right, next. Uh-oh. All right, so next, here we are. It says, are the following functions inverses? We can do this 2 ways. We can use Desmos and graph it, and we can do it by hand. So I know some of y'all are going to want to do both. So we'll do by hand first, and then we'll show you how to do it by Desmos. So I'm going to pick one. So I'm going to pick this one because that one looks easier to me to be able to solve for. So here to find the inverse, remember f of x is y. So I'm just going to write that in terms of y instead of f of x. And then to find the inverse, all I have to do is switch my x and my y and then resolve it for y. So that's all I did is I switched places, which y'all were really good at the other night. And then I'm going to add my 4 to both sides. But then as you see, they are not like terms. So I've got x plus 4 equals 2y. And then I have to divide by 2. Everything has to be divided by 2. So that's going to give me x over 2 plus 2 equals y. That's going to be my inverse. So when I go to do that, I got to go up here because I wanted to know, are these two inverses? Do these match? And if I look at it, the answer is no. So do they match? No, so they are not inverses. That's what I would do with that one. And that's how I would do it by hand. But if we also want to look to see how we would do it Desmos wise, let's look at that. So here's Desmos, and I already have them all graphed. If you go over here and see, I've got 2x minus 4, and then I've got the g of x, which was x over 2 plus 4, and then of course the y equals x, because that's the mirror image line. And if I look, does my green line go right between these two? No, they are not mirror images, because this would have to have gone up like through here, and it does not. So I'm not sure if you got that visual or not, but anyways, it is not. We got the same answers we got by doing it by hand. So now we are going to go to the next problem. Just give me a second. So here it says, if f of x equals this, g of x equals another thing, and then h of x, find the following. And again, if we look at it, it does not say anything about h. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to cross h of x out. And it wants g of f of x. So remember, is there anything for me to plug into when this is an x? No. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross this out. And what was f of x was this right here, 5x plus 3. I'm going to go and plug in 5x plus 3 right here. And now I'm going to go to g, and it says 3, and then I'm going to leave my parentheses for x, which is 5x plus 3. And then I've got to square it. So remember, that square just tells us that we have to write it twice. So I'm going to write it a second time. And then I'm going to worry about that 3 at the very end. The next thing I'm going to do is say 5 times 5 is 25, and x times x is x squared, plus 15x, plus 15x, plus 9. And then you can go ahead and distribute, or I like to go ahead and add my like terms first. So that's what I'm going to do, and that gives me 30x plus 9. And now I'm going to distribute one last time, and that's going to give me 75x squared plus 90x, and then plus 27. So I do have to do that 3 all the way to the 9 too. You just didn't see that line yet. And then that's my answer. That's where I did f of g of x. Okay. All right, next. Solve the rational equation. So the first thing that I would do is I would go to Desmos. So let's go there. Let's go to Desmos and see what we got going on. And so I've got to change the screen that I'm sharing with you guys. And I'm going to change these out. I'm going to change it to the problem that we just had. So if I do that, I've got negative 3p, or actually remember we have to say x, divided by p squared minus, or x squared minus 81. I don't know how to do squared, so I'm going to figure this out. X squared minus 81. And I do want to make sure that this negative is up top instead of out front. So I'm going to just go over here and put the negative there. And then it says plus 10 over x minus 9, or x plus 9. And then it says equals 1 over p minus 9. And then remember the second one, so you can get those points on your equation. Whoops, I put p and I meant to put x. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so then on the next one, for you to get your point, if we always just say y equals 0, we should be able to see it. And not quite sure where the home button is here, but I'm not sure why it's not graphing. Okay, oh, there it is. So I didn't think I had a graph, but I do. Look right here, and if I click on this point, I got like 16.470. It might be like 16.5. I wonder if I keep going in, if it will tell me what it is. Ah, it looks like 16.5 right there, 16.5. So I'm just going to write that down. Let's keep that in mind. Let's go back to our screen. So here we got from Desmos, got to go back and get my pen. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so from Desmos, we got 16.5. Some people may be just happy and so glad that we got an answer that they're done. But just in case, we're actually going to work it out by hand too. So this is P minus 9, P plus 9. If we were to factor it, because it's the difference of two squares, a minus means different signs, and then the square root of both. So we have to pick our common denominator, and our common denominator, remember, is the big one or bigger, and this is the big one, and that works out. So we're going to use, and this is going to be where your common denominator should kind of all cancel out. Whoops, didn't mean to change screens. Here we go. So we're going to say negative 3p, and then we're going to multiply by that common denominator of 9, p minus 9 and p plus 9. Plus 10, and we're going to do the same thing, p minus 9, p plus 9, and then equals 1, p minus 9, p plus 9. Okay, and then our denominator is going to be what was already in the problem. What this was p minus 9, p plus 9. This one only had p plus 9, and this one only had p minus 9. Okay, and then we're going to look to see what can cancel. And so when we go here, those cancel, and just leave us with negative 3p. Over here, this cancels, and then I have to distribute. I get plus 10p minus 90 equals over here, these cancel, and I get p plus 9. And then when I do that, I've got to do combine like terms. That gives me 7p because they're on the same side. I just do negative 3 plus 10. And then now that they're on opposite sides, I have to subtract that p to go to the other side. And I'm going to get 6p minus 90 equals 9. Then I add my 90, and that gives me 99. So 6p equals 99. And look what happens when I divide both of them by 6. I'll show my work over here. I get p equals 16.5. Am I excited or what? I got the same answer that Desmos got. So if we look, the only other thing that we have to do is remember our restrictions. It didn't say anything about that here, but whoops, let me go back. Remember our restrictions. What can 9 not be? Sorry again, y'all. What can 9 not be? 9 can't be, I'm sorry, what can P not be? P cannot be negative 9, and it can't be 9. Is negative or 16.5 one of those numbers? No. So yay, there's my answer. Woo. All right, let's go to the next one. Keep messing up, don't I, y'all? It's okay. All right, find the inverse of the function. Well, this is all we got to do is we change f of x, we change that to y, and then we get 3x plus 8 under the square root, and then we switch x and y, and we solve for y. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to get rid of that square root. So if we square both sides, we get x squared, but on this side, the square and the square root cancel each other, and this just gives me 3y plus 8. And then what I have to do is get my y by itself, so I subtract 8, and I get x squared minus 8 equals 3y, and then I divide everything by 3. So I get x squared minus 8 over 3 equals f negative 1 of x. That's my answer. Now, if it doesn't like that answer, the other way we could have written it is x squared over 3 minus 8 over 3. But I think it will be fine with the answer that you guys had. Okay, the next one, we have to solve this rational equation. So before I would do that, the first thing I would do is go to Desmos again. And so when we go to do that, if I pick my Desmos, I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to type in that next equation. Okay, so my equation this time is 6 over x minus 3 over 10. Whoops, I don't know what happened out there. Minus 3 over 10 equals 7 over x. Okay, so again, we've got our picture, and I'm going to press my home screen, and all of a sudden I've got a number right here. If I wanted to, I could really zoom in, and that tells me 3.336. 3.336. And I kind of just look both places, zooming in and out, and see if I see any other lines, and I don't, so I'm good. Hopefully that didn't make you crazy looking at that picture. But so we got 3.33. So now let's get that by hand. So now if we want to do that, we just found out that from Desmos, whoops, sorry, going back. From Desmos, we got 3.33. So again, oh, maybe it was negative. I can't remember. I think it was negative. All right, so let's do it by hand. By hand, we got to multiply by the common denominator. Well, we don't know which is bigger, x or 10. So then we have to go bigger by just multiplying the two together. So we're going to do 6 times 10x minus 3 times 10x equals 7 times 10x. And then we're going to write our denominator just like it was. This was x, this was 10, and this was x. And then don't forget, I like to change this to a plus and a negative 3. And then here the x's can cancel and I get 60 because 6 times 10. Here the 10s can cancel and I get negative 3x equals here the x's cancel and I get 70. And then I have to just solve for x, so I subtract 60 and I get negative 3x equals 10. And then I divide by negative 3. And look at there, who's a happy camper? Miss Kelly, because I got the same answer that I got on Desmos. Whoop, whoop. And then again, I check. The only thing x can't be is 0 because it's just x in the denominator. So we're good. Negative 3.33 is my answer. Y'all are awesome. Or maybe we should say Desmos is awesome. All right, next, we got this problem. And here it's a little bit different. We're not solving. So this one we can't use Desmos. So I know you're a little disappointed, but there's no equal sign. So we can't use Desmos. So what we've got to do here is get the common denominator. So if we look, this is going to factor. It's a difference of 2 squares. It's going to give me x minus 8 and x plus 8. Because the square root of 64 is 8. And then, of course, remember how I told you to always use this one in the math classroom? That's probably going to help you out. So remember, what's our common denominator? Is it the big one? Yes. I don't have to go bigger. I can just use the big one. So what I have to do is my denominator is going to be x minus 8, x plus 8. So what I have to decide is which one of those is this missing? What do I have to multiply this one by? And I have to multiply that one by x plus 8. So I've got to do x minus 8. So I've got to multiply the top by x minus 8 to make this denominator. So I'm going to get 5x minus 40 plus, did I have to change anything on the second one? And my answer is no. All that was already the denominator. So I get to just write x plus 88 up there again. It just stays. Nothing changes with that numerator. And then I go and look and I just combine my like terms. 5 plus x is 6x. And negative 40 plus 88 is plus 48 over here. And then some of y'all are going to think you're done. And this is why probably a lot of people missed it, because this is such a better problem. If we look, what's in common up top? A 6. And that's going to give me x plus 8. So I bet you're excited now. Because what's going to happen with my x plus 8s? You got it. They're going to cancel. So I've got 6 over x minus 8. And that's my answer of adding and simplifying. Okay, the next one is find all the values of the variable x for which the rational expression is undefined. So remember, if we're looking for the restrictions, we do not care about the numerator. All we care about is the denominator. So we're going to say x squared plus 10x plus 9, and we're going to set it equal to 0, and we're going to solve for that. So when we do that, we're going to make our two parentheses. The plus in the back tells you they're the same, so they're both going to be positive. X is going to go in front, and then the factors of 9, we've got 9 and 1 and 3 and 3. We have to add them. So which one gives me 10? 9 and 1. So I'm going to put 9 and 1 in here. So then remember, when they're in the parentheses, when we figure out what x can't be, is if this is a plus 9, this becomes a negative 9. If this is a plus 1, this is a negative 1. So when x equals negative 9 and comma negative 1 would be my answer to that problem. And then the next one, this is the last one we have to do, and we haven't done one like this, but I showed y'all, some of y'all in class, use Desmos. Woo, so much easier. So let's do that first. Let's go and look at Desmos. Maybe. Okay. So we're going to look at Desmos one last time, and we are going to type in this new function. So I'm just going to go up here, and I'm going to change this to x plus 2. Whoops, I'm going to go ahead and hit the divide so it's over there. And then this is x plus 7 in the denominator, and it's x plus 2 in the numerator. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the less than negative 3. And look there, I've got my nice little shaded area right here. Okay, and look, it says negative 7 to, what is this one right here? Negative 5.75. Okay, negative 7 to negative 5.75. And notice it's between those that are shaded. Okay, and let's just kind of zoom out. And let's just see if there's any other shade, and I'm not seeing any other shade, so I'm good to go. All right, so let's now go back to doing it by hand. I know that's not really what you want to do, but that's what we are. So if we look here, we got Desmos told us, I got to get my pen back, sorry y'all. All right, so Desmos told us from negative 7 to negative 5.75. And again, some of y'all are going to be awesome and be like, I'm done, that's my answer. And we can't be equal to any of those because there's not a solid line. So that's why there's no bracket, it's just a parenthesis. Okay, to solve it, don't forget, x can't be negative 7. And I get that because of this denominator right here. Okay, I get that because of the denominator. X can't be negative 7. So that's why that negative 7's right there. But then to solve it, we can cross multiply. And that's going to give me x plus 2 is less than negative 3x minus 21. I'm going to get my x's together. And remember, I like my variable to be on the left when I have an inequality. That gives me 4x plus 2 is less than negative 21. I'm going to subtract 2. And I'm going to get 4x is less than negative 23 and divide by 4. And so that gives me x is less than negative, oh, look at there, negative 5.75. That's our other boundary number. And so what's happening is it's going from 5.75 to negative 7. It's going that direction. So this would be my answer. Just like Desmo said. Yay! So that's all I've got. I hope y'all do fantastic on your test, and I will see you back next week. Y'all have a great afternoon. Thank you. How do I stop it? I don't see it. Okay. And for all? Yep.